hold on. 40 was Reigns going over Rhodes. 41 was Rhodes going over Reigns.
Right.
Wouldn't 42 have been? I think you might be wrong, Maestro.
So this is what this is reminding me of. WrestleMania Vegas instead of WrestleMania 43.
I don't know why you continuously doubt the Maestro. He was obviously, it's WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. Like I was saying, he's right.
Okay.
I'm literally him, bro.
He is definitely him. You doubted him. I never doubted him, but
okay.
He always doubts me.
Hold on a second.
He always doubts me, but then he wants to be the one that looks it up. This is crazy.
I just went on the record. I never doubted that it was 42.
You did doubt it. You did. It's a great day to be alive on the Dead Jeff Show. I'm Jeff. He's Nick. That's the Maestro, Luke. Welcome in, WWE fans. We just finished watching Raw, so this is being recorded right after that. We have not been able to watch the Tom Rinaldi interview with Cena yet, so we won't be commenting about that tonight. But man, this is our first official WWE show that's not a special. What do you feel about that, Nick?
Oh man, looking forward to it. I think the PLEs are so easy to kind of hype up and get. It's hard to have a bad PLE. I say that, and there's been a couple this year, but I think the week to week shows, man, that's where it's at. That's where they make their money.
Yeah, for sure, and a lot of good stuff going on. Are you ready? Are you feeling the momentous occasion that is Cena's final match this Saturday?
No, I thought we were doing DX. Yeah, I am ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah, that's what. Hey, man, you got to throw the X's up. Yeah, no, I'm definitely ready. I'm looking forward to it. I think we both accurately predicted it would be Gunther. Pretty early on, and I'm looking forward to watching Cena looking up at those lights and Gunther tapping him out.
Wait a second. I don't think you predicted Gunther. I did.
No,
you said somebody else, man. Let's rewind the tape. I think we're going to have to review the tape.
I said the dark horse was Carmelo Hayes, but that I thought Gunther would be the one there.
Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to take you through SmackDown and Raw and talk about the major things. We might not hit everything, but we're going to talk about the major things that are important to storylines as we get ready to go on our road to WrestleMania. And first stop will be the Royal Rumble, which I'm excited for. But before that, we talked about we got to get to Cena's final match. And look, I'm not ready for this. I know we talked before on previous shows that you weren't really a Cena fan, but I was. My oldest daughter was a Cena fan. And I need you to rise above hate, Nick, and embrace this historical moment that's about to take place this weekend.
No, I'm just ready for this dude to get out of here already. I'm tired of hearing the stupid trumpets. I'm tired of the overrated, part-timers getting all the love he's getting. I just want this to be over, and looking forward to Gunther tapping him out, like I said.
Come on, man. You can't do a legend like that. I mean, he does seem to show up as much as Roman Reigns, so it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who's more of a part-timer.
The Mount Rushmore of part-timers are Cena, Brock, Rock, and Reigns. There's your Mount Rushmore of part-timers right there.
That's no doubt. How come that's not discussed enough? That's true. All right, let's get into SmackDown a little bit. The show opened Friday night with Drew McIntyre, who I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre. I love what he's doing. I don't think that they are, showcasing him enough, to be honest with you, but he's currently suspended. He shows up in his Dodge Ram truck, hit sponsorship most likely.
Oh, yeah.
And wants to come into work, and Pierce and security, Aldis and security won't let him in. He gets out of the truck, says, "Come on, let me in. We won War Games. That should be enough." Gets back in his truck, and on the other side, in the passenger's, window, out the passenger window, you see Cody Rhodes lurking, who attacks him in the truck. A little awkward attacking somebody in a truck. Not much room to throw a punch. What do you think of this segment?
Yeah, it's okay. I understand what we're trying to do here. I think for me, and this is the issue when you've got Cody as white meat babyface, is now you've got to start inventing these ways for him to engage with these heels that he's already had runs with, essentially all of them, right? Like he's had these runs with all these heels. So for what it is, it's fine. the promo was okay. I understand it. I don't love it, but it is what it is. I'm a huge Cody fan, and I do think, like you, McIntyre probably is a little underutilized.
Well, and I'll tell you, so after he attacks him in the truck and Drew speeds off once he gets free from that, Cody hits the ring, music plays, probably one of the only times he doesn't get a whoa from the crowd, or at least him. He gets in there, he's had enough. He begs and pleads for Aldis to reinstate Drew so Cody can stomp him out like the cockroach he is. I like the cockroach promo.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of things that Cody's losing his cool a lot lately. So could this be hinting to heelish Cody?
I hope so. I mean, I think that's the thing that will kind of reinvigorate this entire thing. And if we do end up getting a Reigns Rhodes 42, is that what we're on, 42?
I think
WrestleMania
it's 43, isn't it? I don't know.
I have no
They're
idea.
not using the number this year, so it's throwing
Yeah, that's what's
everybody else. It's
throwing me.
just
Yeah,
WrestleMania Vegas this year.
I can look
Yeah,
it
that's
up.
what's.
I think 42 was last year because I remember Fatu wearing a Raiders 42.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah. That's right. Yep. Okay, so 43. So if we get a Rhodes Reigns 43, I think the way to flip it and the way to kind of jolt something into it is to have Reigns be the face and let Rhodes go heel. And I'm with you. I think they're just leaving those little breadcrumbs out there, as WWE so often does. So I hope they do.
Yeah.
I really do. I think Rhodes can do something with it for sure.
Yeah, after Cody's cockroach promo, then we get a pre-recorded promo for the reunited Terror Twins. So we got, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley getting back together to face Black and Vega. What'd you think about this pre-recorded promo?
Yeah, it's good. I think the promo maybe missed. It just didn't. I guess because it was kind of out of nowhere, or at least for me. I'm not sure if I missed something at some point, but I think that part of it felt a little. We need to do something with Priest coming back. Let's throw him back with Rhea. That's kind of what I felt. But having said that, I'm a big Damian Priest fan. I love Scott Hall, and I think there's a lot of Scott Hallishness in what Damian Priest does. Obviously, he's got the razor's edge as a finisher, and just kind of the way he carries himself. I feel a little hey yo in his game. So I like Priest. I like it. Again, nothing to make me stand up and shout, but it's pretty good.
Well, I like the pairing with Black and Zelina Vega, obviously. And I think with Vega getting involved with Priest, it made sense for him to go get, and he mentions this in the promo, hey, I got to go get my family, and brings out Rhea Ripley. So they did kind of set that up in the promo. I actually really like this pre-recorded promo. I don't know that I'm a big fan of the name Terror Twins or whatever, but it was, I think the promo was really done well, and I think Damian Priest is searching for that next thing. I like the fact that they're trying to put him in a feud with Black, and I really like what Black is doing, honestly. So maybe this feud will go somewhere. We'll see. It's just a lot of guys that they've got to, make spots for on the show, and this would be one that they could further storylines and keep them in a feud for a while.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with that completely, and I think it's a good. I think Black and Priest will have some great wrestling matches, so that will also be something to look forward to for sure.
After that, we get a backstage skit, or for lack of a better word, with Ciampa and Johnny, and Ciampa's upset. He wants the U.S. title. Johnny keeps talking about the tag titles. Mello interrupts and says, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm next," and calls Johnny a jackass. And points to the shirt that says "Don't call my friend a jackass." It was pretty funny. But this leads us into the Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes match, and I thought this was a really great match. Hayes was set up for the win with his nothing but net, but Ciampa interferes while the ref is tending to Dragunov. Neither of them saw the interference. Dragunov hits the torpedo Moskov, then the H-bomb for the win. Dragunov sees the replay of what happens and is upset because he didn't realize he got the victory in a tainted way. What'd you think about Dragunov? Do you like Dragunov? Did you like this match? Do you like anything going on here?
Yeah, I actually like both of them. I really like Carmelo Hayes. I love Ilya in NXT. Great run as a champion down there. Also, I'm a huge UFC fan, and for those that don't know, the H-bomb was taken from Dan Henderson, who was a huge UFC knockout artist in the middleweight division, and he would hit guys with that kind of big overhand looping haymaker. And so that's always been really cool to me. I'm not sure. I don't think that's ever actually been confirmed. I might be wrong there. And if it's not true, it's true to me. So good enough. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. I like Ilya a lot. I think the only thing I don't like about this whole thing is we're setting up for the DIY kind of split friction, and I think this will be like the 6th time we've done that or something. So that's a little much. Match was good.
Yeah, I think for me it's DIY. It's time to go. It is time to get that over with. And I don't know what Ciampa and Johnny are going to do. I can't even say his last name. Say it for me.
Gargano, Johnny
Yeah,
Gargano.
I just I'm not a fan of them together. I know this. I actually liked it when R-Truth would call him Triple H and Shawn Michaels. That was funny.
Yeah.
But I really do like Dragunov, and I'm really interested in what they're going to do with him moving forward. So I liked his reaction as he saw the interview. That made it more realistic.
Yeah, right.
I just liked the match. Hayes, did really well selling, and the interference for that matter. But I really like Dragunov, and I'm becoming a big fan of his. We pivot from that match and we go to an interview backstage, I believe, with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. They're talking about War Games. Charlotte asked if was asked if she put aside her differences with Rhea after the match. Charlotte says she only did it for Alexa, and Alexa could not have done it without her. Really nice, playful banter here between Flair and Bliss, kind of keeping the tension. Like, hey, we're best friends, but hey, I'm only doing this for you, and you can't do this without me. From Charlotte, really, I like they're keeping Charlotte cocky, but also playful.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think if we're potentially, again, just kind of looking ahead here, if we're looking at doing something with Charlotte, I mean, you just have so many angles to go. I keep hearing say like the renaissance of the women's tag team division. I don't think it's ever really been great, so I don't get that. But if this is going to be the start of the tag team division, a la Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian, kind of allowing the big name, or they weren't really big names at the time, but allowing the guys that can go out and steal the show. If that's where this is leading, then you have all kinds of offshoots, so many different directions you can go. That's very interesting. And I will say too, from a pure story standpoint, maybe not necessarily in ring, but I gotta say some of the best stories that are going on right now is in the women's division. There's a lot of really good stuff there. We talked a little bit on the PLE about them just kind of throwing it all into a soup at Survivor Series. Yeah. Don't love that, but if you keep these little individual lines going, it's a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, I think so. Anytime Flair and Bliss are together, I really like what they're doing. We got to be careful here that they're not too redundant, because Rhea and Io is very similar. Hey, we're best friends and buddies. You got Charlotte and Bliss. Maybe they're on a collision course, but it's a little bit redundant with how those things are going. But I really like Flair and Bliss together. And I thought for a second when Charlotte said, "Hey, I'm not doing War Games," they were gonna stop. But I'm glad they put them back together for a little longer. I love all the banter. I love even when they're doing the walk-ups to the shows, Charlotte will do something funny. So I really like what they're doing there. We move to a last time is now tournament highlight package, setting up the finals with Knight and Gunther. Then they interview LA Knight about his tournament run and his final. He feels like if he can beat Cena, he'll cement his legacy, and then talks about Gunther and him standing in the way of him cementing his legacy. He quotes Matthew McConaughey here since they're in Austin. Little cheesy. And then we get a promo package for John Cena's final match. All hype here, setting up this finals match and then John Cena's final match. Where are you on LA Knight?
I do not like LA Knight, not even one little bit. He is a rock stone cold knockoff. I've heard people say this before. I don't know where I heard it the first time, so I'm not trying to take credit for that. But I jokingly, when I first heard him, would walk around going, "Yeah," and now occasionally I'll hear my wife or my daughter just off in a room somewhere go, "Yeah," just because it's so catchy, and I hate
he got you then, didn't he?
Yeah, and there's nothing more infuriating than every
like
time
a fan to me.
No, I cannot stand it. I don't like any of it.
Yeah, sounds like he marked out for LA Knight. I think you probably bought his glasses and shirt.
Yeah.
I think you probably got that in your closet, and you probably could do the finger point, L.A. Knight. Yeah,
He's gonna
Yeah.
wear it to work tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah. We got some Stone Cold, we got some Rock, we got some Macho Man, we got none of the actual what was Dupree? What's the dude's name when he was doing that gimmick?
Max Dupree.
There you go. Yeah, we get none of Max Dupree. We get all of
Yeah.
Savage, Rock, and Austin. So no, not an LA Knight fan. I'm taking it
Well,
you are.
no, I don't mind him. I mean, I there's something to say about his stick-to-itiveness with all the things he's been through. Just to be honest with you, as a wrestler, and I like this storyline that's building with he can't quite win the big one, and I hope they lean into that a little bit. And maybe LA Knight gets a little bit of his own finish the story type storyline down the line, or maybe he'll just be the lovable loser. But I don't, I like his in ring work, but I think he does take too many things from too many people and kind of shoves them together. But the crowd still seems to love him, so let's see what happens with him. I don't say I'm a huge fan, but I don't hate him like you do. I'm no hater. I'm not a mark either. So I could take him or leave him, but I'm definitely entertained by some of the stuff he does. So I'm all for it. If it's entertaining. So that leads us into Kairi Sane versus Alexa Bliss. And poor Kairi Sane, she seems to wrestle a lot because she wrestled again tonight on Raw.
Yeah.
And Asuka's just sitting there, keeps feeding her to the wolves. I think that's funny. But you got Kairi Sane versus Alexa Bliss. Obviously, Charlotte's there and Asuka's there. And I think Sane, has turned into a little bit better of a heel. She's slapping Bliss and mocking her at the beginning. Lots of shenanigans from Asuka in this match. So, match goes back and forth. Flair goes after Asuka as Asuka's, distracting on the ropes. Sane goes for an insane elbow, but caught into the sister Abigail for the pin for Alexa Bliss. Bliss wins. And then we got Nia and Lash attacking Bliss and Flair. And then they attack Sane and Asuka. Asuka tries to fight back, but Nia hits with the alley-oop headbutt. I like that commentary.
Yeah.
That they said they called it an alley-oop headbutt. It was pretty funny. And then Sane jumps on Nia's back, but then shrugged off into a big boot by Lash. And Asuka saves Sane from Nia's finisher. So Lash and Nia pose with the titles, and I guess they're announcing they're on the scene. I'm not a fan of Nia and Lash. What say you, Nick?
Yeah, I think everyone's gonna think I just hate everything about all the shows, but yeah, I'm not. I don't like Nia Jax, really at all. Now I will say Lash is growing on me. The commentary on the alley oop, that's pretty. Obviously WNBA background, like that's pretty cool. And I will say, you mentioned Kari's wrestling a lot. I do enjoy her matches though.
Yeah. She's great.
She can go. So, and I think that's obviously, the company's better off with her, in the ring as much as possible. So yeah, I mean, I think this is okay. And again, we talked about it just a second ago. There's just so many different angles they can go here. I really hope we don't put the titles on Nia and Lash. But outside of that, it's really, again, very interesting. There are a lot of different places they can go with it. And for the most part, every single woman involved in this kind of, on the scene women's tag team division have a lot of interesting things in and of themselves.
Well, and there doesn't seem to be any more separation from Raw and SmackDown shows. Some people are on both shows, some people aren't. So it's kind of unusual, right? Because Kairi had a match tonight on Raw, and so I know they're the women's tag champions. But anyway, maybe we can discuss that more later. But it just seems to be that there's some mixing and matching going on here. And maybe I dreamt that, but I feel like there's multiple people on both shows. And I'm not sure if there's any rhyme or reason to it. Is it just the Kabuki Warriors?
Yeah.
But again, you got Rhea Ripley on both shows. So maybe they're kind of, bending the rules here a little bit for the brand split. Backstage we go with Cody and Aldis. Cody says, "Hey, I'm calmed down now. I'm back to my old cool, calm Cody Rhodes. And he goes, okay, well, let's do this. They walk in the room, and there's Ricky Saints and Oba Femi from NXT. And Cody announces to those guys the winner of their match at Deadline, which was a fantastic match, by the way, will face Cody at Saturday night's main event. And then those two stare down and grunt and growl at each other as Cody wishes him good luck and leaves. Do you like what they're doing with Ricky Saints and Oba Femi? Obviously, Oba went over at NXT Deadline, which was a great event for them. I'm not sure I like the Iron Survivor match, but style, just the gimmick match. But what do you think about Oba Femi and Saints?
Yeah, so I know Ricky Saints has a ton of following. You know, big star. I actually liked Oba to go over. I liked that they put the strap on him. Looking forward to him and Cody. I think it's just. I think we talked a little bit about the AEW connection with Ricky and Cody. I like that they kind of stayed away from it. I know originally we kind of said maybe there's a faction here if we're going to go down that path. I think this also preserves that, not putting Cody and Ricky into a program, even if it's just a one night thing. So there's a few different things going on there, but yeah, I really like. I love Oba in the ring. I think he's a great worker, and I think that one will be the one to watch in terms of stealing the show. Cody and Oba for the not for the title, but just the champions facing off against each other.
Well, and you got Cody and Ricky together in the scene, which could be planting seeds for what might be coming later, which could be nice, right? Putting those guys together somehow, and maybe Cody gets his own heel stable with his heel run. Who knows? But I like this. I like them, rubbing elbows with Cody a little bit and maybe setting up some of that future stuff. And again, the match was incredible with those two guys. And I like what they're doing with Ricky Saints. AEW didn't seem to know what to do with him. And Ricky Saints is one of the smallish guys, so it's a clash of styles. You got power versus speed, and they do that a lot in the WWE, and they did it tonight on Raw with the War Raiders and AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. We'll get to that later. But we get to Jade Cargill and Alba Fire. Before that, backstage with Lash and Nia, they're talking about them being dangerous, and the Kabuki Warriors are going to get what they deserve. And Lash talks about that was just a little taste of what's coming to the tag division. And all the other teams, they diss, and they talk about that they're the bullies on the block. This promo fell flat for me. I don't know how you felt about it. Again, I'm probably, because I'm not bought into them as a tag team. I'm not sure why I care about them being together yet. And WWE hasn't really given me a reason to, other than they're the bullies on the block. And Nia maybe went and put Lash next to her so she never had to face Lash. Maybe that could be something they talk about later. But I don't know what they're doing with Nia Jax. She seems to be all over the place.
Yeah, I agree. Always was, but I also don't, obviously I haven't heard Lash on cutting too many promos yet, so hard to talk about it too much. But I don't.
It wasn't bad. It was straightforward promo. It's just just pretty generic.
Hard to care, right? Like you said, it's just not giving me a reason to really invest yet. But we'll see where it goes, because I do think there's the potential for Lash, especially if we do, and I'm sure we will get the eventual turn. There's something there. Lash versus Nia could definitely propel Lash into a great spot on the roster.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason Cargill and Fire are fighting is because of the flashback from last Friday where Cargill beats up Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. So this now Green has Fire face Cargill, much like Asuka sends Sane out to take the punishment. Green sending Fire out to take the punishment. And so we get the match between Cargill and Fire. It's a little bit short of a squash match, but pretty much a squash match. Green slaps the champ as she's, leaned over, right? And then behind her is Kiana James and Julia. And then they attack Green and take her to the back. That distracts Fire. Cargill hits Jaded for the win. I don't know that they needed to protect Fire here with the distraction. And then, having Cargill should have went over clean anyway, I think. to build her dominance. But it was kind of an interesting take on a squash match. But what did you think of this match?
Yeah, I am an absolute, huge mark for Chelsea Green. So anytime she does anything, I'm all for it. Doesn't matter. She's such a good loser. She's such a great, she plays that role so incredibly well. Really the throwback diva, that's what she reminds me of, to just that old school, Lita,
Yeah.
Trish, Tori, Stacy Keibler, all that. She would have been perfect in that era. Um, so I like it for that reason. I think, again, I agree with you completely. It's an interesting way to do a squash match, which I guess, hey, at least it's something different. Certainly Cargill doesn't need any assistance looking, dominant. She's got everything that you could possibly want. But yeah, it's interesting, and I love, I always think Green deserves more screen time. So whatever time she does get, I'm always happy about it.
Yeah, and then we go backstage with Fraxium and Aldis. They want DIY. Of course, DIY stole Fraxium his mask. Sorry. I'm terrible with names. But when you put them together, it's Fraxium, right? So so they stole his mask. Dragunov interrupts and says he wants Ciampa next week. He's going to give Ciampa what he wants. He's going to give him a U.S. title match. Aldis makes the match, and then they're interrupted by the MFTs, and they stare down Dragunov. Solo does. And so
Yeah,
maybe that's a little hint of what may be coming for the U.S. title. And then more backstage. I guess everyone's hanging out backstage around equipment, just chilling. I don't know what they're doing, but backstage we got Jade Cargill and B-Fab have a confrontation, and Mishin comes up and confronts Cargill. They want Aldis to make a match with Cargill and Mishin. And so now we got another match made just like that in a backstage skit. Do you think they're going too much to these backstage interviews and skits, these confrontations backstage? What do you think about this?
yeah, I think it's got to be a way to just get the GMs some screen time and make the GMs have more of a presence. I think certainly Triple H would have come from the school of the on-screen authority and kind of that motif. But it is too much. And it's also too much by the way of I want a match if I'm the champion, or I want to challenge a champion. Like, it's just kind of like we're making our own stuff here, and then the judge is just sitting here hitting the gavel. It's
Yeah.
not, there's nothing else really going on with it. So yeah, I think it's too much. And I don't like the setup for it. I'm a fan of, there's some friction, there's some reason why the GM would be forced into this decision, not just
Yeah.
someone standing up and saying, hey, I want one. It's a little off for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think I guess it's hard to find new ways to do those interactions, but
Right.
they've got these walk-up entrances now, and those are kind of that was cool at first, and now they're kind of being oversaturated. It's hard to keep things new and fresh from the presentation standpoint. I understand that. I don't want to be too critical there because the WWE usually does a pretty good job of moving that and changing that up here and there. But I think they run the risk here with all these women being highlighted on the shows, a little bit of redundancy on each show, and a little bit how these things are going about. There needs to be a little bit something different. And I don't know exactly what that might be, but I just feel like it's all starting to blend together with these altercations and how the matches go and the interference and all that distractions and all this kind of stuff with the women's tag team situation. And we can get into more of that when we talk about Raw. But coming up, one of the highlights of the show was Solo's promo, right? So Solo
Hmm.
and the MFTs come out, and Solo cuts the promo first, talking about how he handled Sami Zayn and took care of that problem. And the crowd telling him how much that he sucks, which I always think is awesome because I'm not a
Yeah.
Solo fan. I think he does suck, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with him, but Solo says they're moving on to the Wyatt Six, right? He introduces himself to Uncle Howdy, says, this is Solo show, SmackDown Solo show, and this is his ring. So he wanted to make sure he introduced himself, He wants the tag titles to come back to the MFTs, says everything that was Bray Wyatt's and that is now Howdy's will become Solo's soon. I thought that's
Hmm.
very interesting, invoking Bray Wyatt and the way he's talking about him. He says he's going to take away everything from Howdy and show everyone he doesn't deserve the name Wyatt. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I'm actually a fan of Solo, but I don't like the MFTs. I don't like the stable. Um, Having said that, I love that they let Solo evoke the name. Certainly, they would have talked to Uncle Howdy, uh, which is Bray Wyatt's real
course.
life brother.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have talked to him and make sure it's cool. And I think, without speculating too much, and may God rest his soul, but I think Bray was such a lover of story and such a lover of finding new ways to tell stories that this is something that he would have 100% been okay with. I think it fits. I think it immediately adds a layer to this thing that if I didn't care before, I really care now, because of how much admiration so many people had for Bray Wyatt. So I think
For
it's really
sure.
smart. I think it immediately sends this thing up, and then I think the transition into the next part of the segment also fit really, really well. So yeah, I actually really like this. I like where we're going with it.
Yeah, I did too. And to cap it off, he says he's going to take everything away because he can. All he has to do is believe. That was a great line for Solo. And then the lights go out with Solo standing in the ring by himself because the MFTs have already started to get out of the ring. The lights go out. Obviously, the Wyatt Six, the little interruption, they show up on the ringside. Howdy standing behind Solo, just much like last week. And then the MFTs come in behind Howdy. Crowd chants as Wyatt attacks Solo. And it's an all-out brawl ensues from there. You got the big guys facing off in the ring, Rowan and Tonga. And then the MFTs finally retreat, and the Six stand there in the ring as they do. And obviously, we're trying to further the feud here. It's kind of been a long time coming, slow build to this thing. But I think I like that they're putting these guys into a feud. I'm with you. I'm not a fan of the MFTs. It's sort of like NWO Wolfpack ish.
It's a great callback. That's good.
It's kind of like maybe a bargain, bloodline.
Yep.
And I'm not been a fan of Solos. But this promo was probably some of his best work.
Yeah.
To date, in my mind. But do you think this feud's going to go anywhere? Do you think we're going to get some good stuff out of this, or you think it's just going to be
No, I think it'll be good, actually. And I think, I can see this. Obviously, you've got a lot of places to go. You've got the tag titles that I think will probably end up in the MFTs at some point. And then I think you get a Uncle Howdy versus Solo singles match, probably some sort of stipulation, maybe a cage match. I can see making some sense. Maybe even a Hell in a Cell. If they can drag this out long enough, I would love to see something like that and just really because I think the one thing that's missing on Solo's resume, he was the enforcer and he played that role relatively well, but what he's not had a ton of, and I love that the WWE doesn't do this every single week like AEW does, kind of that old school, really, really violent type match. And I think Solo and Uncle Howdy, that there could be a grudge match of sorts with the invocation of Bray's name that would make it make sense. So I look forward to it, and I hope they don't mess it up.
Now you and Solo share something in common. You know that?
All right. I don't know if I know
At
where
work
this is
a
going.
week or so ago, you wore a black turtleneck with your chain, and everyone said you look like The Rock. Well, Solo wears that turtleneck and the chain, and maybe that's kind of a hint that The Rock is going to come and side with Solo. But you and him dress alike, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe that's why I like Solo. I like it. Man obviously has good taste.
Yeah, I thought that was funny though. But
Did you get a picture of that?
I wish we could have got a side by side, and I know Nick took some grief for this, but it's all in fun. He actually looked pretty sharp. I'll say that, but it was not. It was a sweater. It wasn't a turtleneck with the fanny pack Rock look. Okay, just so we know. But I thought Solo's been dressing like that for a long time. I think that's funny. I'm not sure why he wears the leather gloves, but that's also funny. So we go backstage now, but we're in Aldis's office, so it's not just a random spot backstage where people are lurking, so that's different. Miz is there, and he wants to be in Cena's last match on Saturday. He wants to be in it or on the show, right? He can't believe he's been disrespected, And Aldis says, "Well, Miz, you can't be in the match. You're not even on the show." And kind of rub salt into the wounds. And then Bailey just jumps in and goes, "Hey, thanks for my match on Saturday night's main event, Aldis. Thank you very much." Miz gets upset, yells out "unbelievable," and walks away. So they're really dialing in the Miz's disrespect. And when's the last time he's really had anything going, the Miz? But I like the Miz. And then in walks Sol Ruca, and that's who Bailey's opponent will be at Saturday night's main event. And she says, "Hey, Sol, I've been watching you, but this is another level here on Raw and SmackDown." And then we get, that promo's over, and we're on to Gunther's interview. Anything to say about that promo before we move on to Gunther's interview?
No, I think it's pretty clean. I do, just like kind of Chelsea Green. I'm a huge Miz fan. I love what the Miz does. I think early on I couldn't stand him when he was doing when he had his title run. I really and I guess that was, his job was to make me hate him. So good job him. But here lately, I've really liked anytime he gets any screen time, I always am happy about it. And then the Ruka Bailey stuff, my hope is, because there's so much disrespect for Bailey, I feel like, I hope they put on a great match and they let Bailey go over. I have a feeling though that Ruka's going to get the 1, 2, 3 in that match.
I really like Sol Ruca, and I also like Bailey. I like this, schizophrenia Bailey. But they've kind of gone away from that and just made her, be friends with Lyra. So we'll see what that's coming. So we've got these best friend tag team things going on in the women's division. You got Lyra, Bailey, you got, Charlotte and Alexa, and you got Rhea and Io. So again, redundancy kind of there. So we get a pre-recorded interview with Gunther, I believe. And he's talking about, it doesn't matter where you live, what language you speak. Ring general translates to victory. I thought that was a good line. He's going to beat Cena and make and be Cena's final match. This was a foregone conclusion. Everyone thought Gunther was going to be there, and he says that. And then he taunts Cena and says he's going to needs to pay attention to how he's going to beat Knight tonight. Thought it was a really good promo from Gunther. And it was better than LA Knight's promo earlier in the night. As far as if we're having a promo competition. But Gunther's always short and sweet and to the point. And I really like what they're doing with Gunther.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I was very much looking forward to how they were going to set up the match. I didn't think there was any doubt of what it would be, how they were going to set it up, and what kind of story they were going to tell with relatively little time, right? And assuming that Cena wouldn't make an appearance until Saturday night, that means Gunther's doing all the heavy lifting to tell the story and to get us there. No doubt that he could do it, but I was just very curious on how they went about it. So, super, super happy about it.
We get another pre-recorded promo. This is Black and Vega's response, to Priest and Ripley. I like the fact that they say Priest was broken, and they came and rescued him, but then now he's running back and staying loyal to his old friends, and that's not going to go well for him. So I really like that what they're doing here. Vega's kind of saying Rhea's manipulating Priest and wants to control him, and they're doing these mind games with Damian Priest. I get that. Decent promo, but again, we'll see where this feud goes.
Yeah, it's I like that they're peppering it though. Like I said at the beginning, it felt kind of thrown together, maybe just a little bit. There was a little exposition there, but if they're gonna keep peppering stuff like this, I love the mind games from Vega and Black. I think that makes a lot of sense. Fits in nicely. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and then obviously they promo Cena's interview with Ronaldo here, and then we get Knight Gunther. And one thing I got to say about this match is the beginning. I am not a fan of this ring announcer, Mark Nash. It was a very cocky intro, and I don't like them taking away from the stars here. I know Alicia Taylor does it well, but this guy was over the top, man. Mark Nash, no disrespect. I just didn't like him. I don't like him being too cocky with his ring announcing. I don't even know if you picked up on it, but it was very annoying. It just was distracting.
No, I absolutely did, and I agree with you completely. I feel like Samantha did such a great job adding. To me, she added to the superstar's entrance.
Yeah.
It wasn't her taking away from it. And I think the next natural progression is for Aisha and Mark to try to take it to the next level. The problem is when you get above a certain point, exactly what you said, now you're almost taking away from the superstar. So I agree with you completely, and I actually don't necessarily love Aisha. I'm not a big fan of hers, but I was such a huge Samantha fan that I think that's probably, what that's about.
But yeah, it's the same mold. I guess Samantha was the original. Aisha maybe feels like second-rate version of her, for lack of a better term. But they're just out of control with these ring announcers. We gotta calm them down a little bit. I know they want the big fight feel, but let's not have them just totally distract from the match. In this match, lots of chops back and forth. I think highlights where Knight, hits Cena's AA on Gunther, and follows that with a burning hammer, and there's a kick out. A lot of commercials during this match. I think there was 2 commercial breaks. I think they did a good job of Knight getting injured and selling the injury. Gunther just, relentless, pounding, beating him down, sleepers. Just, I do like the finish of this match with Knight tapping out. I know some people think this makes Knight look really, really weak, but I think if you go back to the injury, you got these elbow strikes to sleeper in the middle of the ring. He tries to lift Gunther, but a barrage of elbows wears him down. Then Gunther hits a modified crossface, similar to the STF. Another pay attention Cena moment with the Knight hitting the AA and then Gunther hitting a modified STF. Knight taps out. Gunther calls out Cena into the camera, says Cena will finally give up and tap out. Pretty good match. And I think LA Knight does not walk away looking terrible, but the injury piece, they didn't even play that up at all tonight on Raw, so maybe it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the time it didn't make him look so bad, I didn't think because of that. The complete I don't think they alluded to it once tonight. So I think in hindsight, and then especially given what happened tonight, I personally think this does not make LA Knight look good at all. He almost, and I might get some heat for this, but almost is looking more and more like a glorified jobber. Someone's got a
Can't
job
win the
for
big one.
Yeah, you got it. Someone's got a job for the main event, or that top tier talent. And it feels like that's what LA Knight's doing right now. He's just kind of jobbing for the top tier guys.
Yeah, maybe they should have had him showed up in a neck brace, old school, like tonight, and sell it a little bit more. That maybe make him look a little stronger. Like, hey, I really took a bad hit to the neck, something to that effect. But yeah, it was like it never happened tonight. So it was that. I think that makes him look worse for sure.
Yep.
But it was a good. I was a pretty good match overall. The show SmackDown, it was okay. It wasn't like, oh boy, that was great. I'm really fired up for Saturday night's main event. But it furthered the storylines. We got a little bit of more understanding about some of these things. So all in all, a good show.
Yeah, I'd go B. I think it was solid. Don't think there was anything. The DIY stuff I think is probably the place where I would have the biggest sigh. I think Lash and Nia isn't my cup of tea, but at least this is still relatively new. There still is a level of, okay, what are we doing here? Versus a DIY where it's like, how many times can these best friends break up? So those are kind of the low points, but I think a lot of the storytelling with the women, and then certainly the Cody, anytime you get Cody and Drew in a program, even though we've seen it a couple times, it's gonna, I'm not gonna be upset about it. So, like I said, solid B for me. If you had to grade it, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say a B minus probably, slightly above average. But when you look at it, they had what, 3 matches, 4 matches, four matches total.
4 matches, yeah, have to be 4, yeah.
So, lots of promoing and lots of backstage stuff. 4 matches on the show for 2 hours. So, if you're a wrestling person, you like the in-ring stuff, maybe it left you wanting more, lacking a little bit. But if you're a storyline promo person, there was plenty of that. Some of it good, some of it not so good, some of it average. So I would say a B minus to a C plus, somewhere in that range. Wasn't awful, but wasn't awesome. So, and that, that takes us to Raw, the final Raw before Saturday night's main event. So, we didn't obviously see anything about the mystery man on SmackDown, but we did see him tonight a few times, and we'll get into that. So they start Raw tonight in Kansas City with a promo for Cena's final match, obviously. And Gunther comes out to start the show, getting the star treatment, right? He gets to start the show. Crowd boos him, and they chant for Cena. It fills the arena before he's even spoken a word. It's just Cena, Cena, Cena. Gunther says, hey, Cena's not coming. It's his time now, Gunther's time now. So Cena won't be there. Says it's finally dawned on him that he will be Cena's last opponent. Says Cena is the best sports entertainer of all time, but Gunther is the best wrestler of all time. I thought that was a great line. He puts up a countdown clock to Cena's last match, and I thought that was pretty funny, and says he's going to make Cena give up. He's going to bully him, squeeze all of the hustle, loyalty, and respect out of him, and force him to give up. I thought this was a great promo to start the show.
Yeah, great promo. Put Cena right where he belongs. Make sure he sets the tone. Again, I said, even during SmackDown, as I was kind of thinking about how this goes, you knew that whoever came out of it was going to be Gunther always. They were going to have to do the heavy lifting to tell the story, and I think this is a phenomenal story to tell. I'm sure a ton of people immediately Google how many times has Cena tapped out in his career. It's going to be one of the most highest searches from coming out of tonight, and it's 4, and not since 2004 has Cena tapped out.
He's tapped out
4 times in his career, and not since 2004. Kurt Angle was the last one that did it. So, look, I think if and we'll get at least a couple false finishes with the submission, but I think ultimately when Gunther locks it in and Cena goes to sleep, I think it's a great push. Not that he needs it, but you always want to give back, and I'm certain Cena will want to. And quite frankly, the part-timer should. So, we'll be happy for Gunther.
Well, I think that obviously they're telling us, hey, he's going to make Cena tap out. They've been telling us that. So that makes me wonder if that's the way it's really going to go down. I hope so, because that would be awesome. But what I really hope is that once Gunther, if Gunther beats him, do you think there might be something else after the match? Do you think maybe The Rock? Maybe Lesnar? Maybe something happens after the match? Because they're always talking about his final match, but maybe not his final altercation. So do you think there's something planned after this match for John Cena?
No, I don't think so. I think, and I say this only because I really truly believe you will never see Cena in the ring as a performer again. Maybe you get him as like a authority type figure, a couple of high spots for some of the Saudi shows or something like that. But no, I do think that what's next for Gunther will be really, really important. But I don't think you're going to get anything from Cena. I really hope you don't get anything with The Rock. That's been done way too many times.
Well, we got to get some finality to this Rock Cena heel turn, don't we?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think this is going to be one of those things that WWE just tries to pretend never happened.
Well, they should, because it was awful. And that's the last 2 things The Rock's been involved with, he tried to screw up. And I'm not, everyone grew up a big Rock fan, but I don't know what happened. But the last 2 things, he tried to screw up Cody's deal, and then again with the John Cena heel turn. So maybe we'll get some shenanigans, who knows. But they're really setting up Gunther here for the heroes, the superstar treatment. So I really like what they're doing here. Then obviously we get walk-in scenes from all tonight's participants. And again, we talked about redundancy. Just them walking to the ring is kind of cool. But again, Rhea and Io, they do something playful, just like Charlotte and Alexa, a little bit of redundancy here. They go into a review of last Monday where it was Flair and Bliss versus Rhea and Io, and all the mayhem that ensued after that. The Kabuki Warriors, Bailey and Lyra, and Judgment Day and Liv Morgan come and dominate, right? And that leads us into Eoskai versus Kairi Sane. Again, we just had this on SmackDown, right, with Alexa Bliss and Kairi Sane. Now we get Eoskai and Kairi Sane, and Rhea and Asuka are at ringside. Then they start showing some of the NXT stars in the crowd, hyping up Obafemi and his championship, becoming the champion. And so Asuka is up to shenanigans in this match, right? Obviously, Rhea comes and takes care of her. Sane attacks a distracted Io, and Io goes for the over the moonsault. Asuka knocks her down. Rhea beats up Asuka. Io hits the over the moonsault for the third attempt, finally hits it, and then she gets the win over Sane. And then Rhea and Io celebrate, and that was the end of that segment. So what did you think of this? Sounds like rinse and repeat from SmackDown.
It really was, but again, and they gave him some time here. It was not a 4 or 5 minute segment. They gave him some time in ring, and I think the in ring stuff was phenomenal. I really like the in ring stuff.
Oh yeah.
Again, to your point, the redundancy, the kind of shenanigans going on around it. I get it. We got all kinds of setup going on here, which is fine. It's you're gonna have that, and I think that's in the dog days of the year with everyone on the eyes of Cena, and we're not quite on the road yet, so you've got to have some time in here to have some of this stuff. I get that, but I do want to just again say the in-ring stuff for these two is just so great. I think I love that they give them so much time because these girls can really, really go.
No, without a doubt. Anytime those two are in the ring, it's a great show, and Asuka throw her in there too, right? It's just like I said, it's becoming, it's like they have this match every show, and it's just let's change out one of the participants, right? I like the Io and Rhea and Kairi and the Kabuki Warriors. I like this, but we've got to kind of get some resolution to it soon. It's just kind of dragging a little bit.
Yeah.
But not really dragging. I guess it's just kind of redundant. Because they're doing the same thing with Flair and Bliss with the Kabuki Warriors, and it's like, well, okay, which way are we going here? I think what we want to see is Flair and Bliss versus Io and Rhea.
I think what you're gonna get, honestly, at some point, and I really hope this leads here, I think we get a TLC with the 3 teams.
Oh, that would be sweet.
I think I just feel so Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge, and Christian. That would
be awesome.
I keep coming back to that in my head, and I love the way. That's what I'm saying. There's so much setup here, and if we're going to get the TLC triple threat with the women, then I get it. I will not complain about any of this. If we're not going to get the big payoff, then I'm going to struggle a little bit. But I do think that would be so awesome, man, and I think they could really tear the house down.
Maybe Nia and Lash could be Demolition.
Yeah.
Or the Road Warriors, the
Road Warriors. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah.
We go back to the locker room. Okay, we're not backstage just wandering around the hallways. We're in Vision's locker room, and we got Logan Paul who enters and talks about Rey Mysterio slapping him last week and says, "Hey, something needs to be done about it." Logan pulls Heyman aside and Heyman tells him, "Hey, you got backup now. You're not a Maverick," right? Basically saying, "Hey, you're not by yourself anymore." And Logan says, "Well, I want them to know I got their back too." Kind of little building some of the camaraderie and the teamwork with these Vision guys. Heyman handles him brass knuckles, says, "Just in case, take this." And so I guess he's on his way to handle Rey Mysterio. There's a War Raiders promo that airs, and the announcers are hyping up their match with AJ and Dragon Lee. And then we get Rey and Finn Balor. We thought we were going to get Rey and Finn Balor. And then Rey's coming to the ring. Everybody's hyped for his entrance. And then he's attacked by Logan Paul at the end of the ramp. He beats up Rey, and he taunts the crowd really well. He plays the heel perfectly, gets the crowd involved, goes for the brass knucks punch, but he's kicked in the face by Rey. Rey does the drop toe hold into the 619, and here comes that masked man out of nowhere. and he attacks Ray with a super kick and a stomp, and then Logan hits Ray with the brass knucks. Poor Ray. He's just getting slaughtered all night. And then LA Knight comes out for the save. Knight cuts a promo on Vision and Logan Paul and challenges Paul for a match later tonight. He wants to make Paul pay that night. Now let's talk a little bit about the Masked Man. Was this the same Masked Man that first appeared? Are they doing tricks here? Because later when he comes up, he even looks different. So, what do you think? Is this the same guy under the mask? Are they playing games with us with this?
Yeah, I think they are, and I think for one, this version that the Rey Mysterio attacker Masked Man looked gigantic, just comparatively. And then when he goes
like
into
Randy
the
Orton.
corner,
Yeah.
it really, man, and when he goes into the corner and he does that kind of just slight lift onto his tiptoes, it kind of looked like coming into the punt used to look like.
Yeah.
All the mannerisms of Orton were there. It looks so much like Orton and totally separate from the dude we'll see later, and even a little different than the dude at the PLE at a Survivor Series. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you hit it. I think it's kind of, we got three different guys here. But the deadbeat deserved it. I will say that.
The deadbeat.
So, yeah.
So you bought into Dom's story that Rey Mysterio is a deadbeat dad.
How dare you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's 100. That's not
The
even,
greatest luchador ever. You're calling him a deadbeat dad, man.
I'm wearing my Rey Mysterio mask next episode. If it still fits. I mean,
you were like 10 when you had that.
I was probably younger than that. I have to customize it.
Yeah, the deadbeat, and if you ever needed any proof how much the deadbeat deserves it, this dude's the greatest luchador of all time. He's not. It's obviously Dominic Mysterio. Well, actually, it's Dom's dad, Eddie Guerrero, and then Dom's number 2. And then, supposedly, though, Rey's supposed to be the greatest, but nobody ever comes out and helps this dude. Every time this dude gets his butt kicked, nobody's coming to help him ever.
What do you mean? LA Knight came out.
I mean, after he had already
LA Knight saved him. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Didn't you watch?
He didn't save.
Yeah.
He didn't save him.
Saved
He
Rey.
let him get his butt beat, and once he got hit with the knucks, then he came out.
Did you say hitting the nuts or with the knucks?
With the knucks.
Now, look, you said a lot of stuff there, and I'll just say this.
Yeah.
I think we all believe that the guy climbing the cage was Austin Theory, right? We all believe that the guy tonight in the first mask looked like Randy Orton, right? Mm-hmm. So either they're doing a really good job of mannerisms and swerving us, or it's been different guys. Because the guy, we'll talk about how he looked coming out later at the end of the show. But, yeah, Rey and Finn did not even happen. And so we get right to the War Raiders versus AJ and Dragon Lee. This was a classic Clash of Styles match. You got no pun intended there. It's just speed and high flying versus power. You had introduce the element of the New Day with Grayson Waller with them. Just kind of watching and lurking. And then the Usos music hits, right? So here we come through the crowd before the match starts. You got New Day there. You got the Usos. You got the War Raiders. You got Dragon Lee. All before that, the Usos are yeeting their butts off, right? And they took a long time to get to the ring, by the way. And then when they get to the ring, and they get in between New Day and Dragon Lee and AJ, then they run it back and yeet some more, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about them running it back? You like that?
Yeah, no, I was a huge main event fan. I loved what Jey Uso was doing. And some of these shticks never leave. The Daniel Bryan yes stuff, once he started doing that, he could just never get away from it. But I think he did such a good job of separating himself from it when it was time, and he didn't play into it, and it didn't kind of overstay its welcome. I get that when you're in the crowd and the fan participation aspect of it is so great. For me, it's gone stale. I don't like it. I'm glad they put the Usos back together, but I wish they would do it as a heel. I wish they would let them both, turn them both, go back to the old music, or just get away from the eating stuff. Not a fan of this current iteration.
Well, let me correct something. I said that happened before the match. It was actually after the match. So after AJ gets the pinfall victory to retain the titles, this is when that happened. New Day comes into the ring. Then the Usos music hit. Sorry about that. Yeah, they run it. The Usos make the announcement that they're back in the tag division. This is interesting because at the end of last week, we saw Jay breaking down, right? Just really frustrated. And Jimmy talks about, yeah, he saw that and that hurt him, so he wanted to boost his brother back up. And they're back. Jay says, now we're back to being us and the best tag team ever. And then they cut a promo on the New Day saying, you guys know about us. And they turn to talk to AJ and Dragon Lee, and New Day tries to attack, but the Usos thwart it. And I thought this was a good way to introduce the Usos back into the tag team. But are we just supposed to forget that Jay had a breakdown last week? And he's just, because he talked to his brother, he's okay now? Or is there more to come with this breakdown, you think?
Yeah, I think there's more to come. And I think also one of the things of why they're back together was Jimmy saying, we've been taking a lot of L's. We took an L for this. We took an L for that. And so I think, unlike the LA Knight stuff where we just kind of didn't touch on anything that happened last week, at least this is kind of playing into the Jay breakdown. This is going into the psyche of what's going on right now. So I don't think this is all we've
together.
gotten.
We're better together type feel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the menace, or not the menacing, but the mentality of Jay may lead to the heel. That could be the precipice for them to turn heel. Is we're trying to be the good guys, we're trying to fight the good fight, and all we keep doing is losing for it. As the heels, we were unified champs and all that kind of stuff. So I hope we get the heel turn, and I think exactly what you're talking about. Some of that setup may lead us to that spot.
Yeah, I think so. We don't want to see Jay versus Jimmy again.
No,
we want both Usos to turn heel, is what we're saying.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Then, hey, something rare. We get an in-ring interview with Stephanie Vaquer, with Jackie Redmond, and this is interesting because Stephanie Vaquer is not great on the mic, not great with promos. So I guess they're trying to get her a little bit more exposure there. She's great in the ring, and she's got a great look and entrance and gimmick. They talk about the win over Nikki Bella, and Jackie asks her who's next for the title. Obviously, we know this is setting up. Vaquer talks about she doesn't, talk too much. Her actions do the talking for her, which I thought was a good way to kind of, help her there. Says she wants to face everyone, that the women's division's better now than it ever has been. Says she's at the top. And then we get Nikki Bella's music, right?
You can look, but you can't touch.
Yeah, and she's got her heel garb on, and I like it better than her other stuff with the baseball cap. And she disses the crowd, gets some cheap heat, says she's not done with Vaquer yet, and then out of nowhere, Raquel Rodriguez attacks Bella and says she's next for Vaquer. It says name the time and place, and she's taking the title. I thought that was a nice little swerve instead of just having Raquel come out and challenge Vaquer. Instead of getting Nikki to go, hey, I want a rematch only, we got a little bit of swerve with Raquel coming out and attacking Bella and taking that spot.
Yeah, I think it was a great setup to have Nikki come out, because I'm sure, like many people, when she came out, I was like, oh, we're not really going to do this, are we? Like,
right.
They had me. It was hook, line, and sinker on that one, because I thought for sure they're just going to, again, we're in that weird transition time right now, so I thought, well, they could probably get one more out of it. So I liked that they did swerve. I also liked, she got no pop from it whatsoever. But I love the Vaquer line about, I'm the best, and it's not just because of Devil's Kiss. And she kind of gave everyone a second, and it just fell flat. I think her accent is so heavy. Maybe, maybe the Midwest isn't the place to try to run that line.
Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas. You got to know where you're at, right? Kansas City's not going to pick up on that.
No, I don't think so. But it was a great line. I had a laugh, and I even rewound. I was like, did I laugh over the pop? Like, because that should have gotten something. And no, it was just totally flat. I like that they let Raquel and Vaquer have a little bit of a Spanish speaking moment. I think that's really cool. And it is interesting to see kind of Raquel insert herself into that spot with Liv coming back and just kind of what that could mean going forward. But I like it. I think it'll be a really good match, and I'm looking forward to it. Also love that Raquel
Well,
wore the Texan shirt. That was fantastic.
yeah, that was cool, but we don't know exactly if it's going to take place or not. I don't think it was made official, was it? Because we had the backstage skit with Judgment Day, and Finn's talking about what an easy night it was for him. He didn't have to face the deadbeat dad, as you called him, and Finn calls him. And Liv was surprised that Raquel went out to challenge Vaquera without talking to her first, right? Little Liv drama within Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. So she says, well, while you're going to talk to Pierce, basically she tells Roxanne, hey, I'm going to be in your corner tonight because Raquel's taking care of her business or whatever. So interesting little setup here for maybe what's causing division amongst them. And then, or maybe we find out that Liv has already made a match. I don't know. I don't think I missed anything here because they never made that match official, did they? With Raquel?
No, they didn't. No,
Yeah.
they didn't. They definitely left the door open for some shadiness from Liv to jump in, or something may happen there, but it wasn't made official.
Yeah. So who knows? That could be interesting. So that leads us into Lyra with Bayley coming, in her corner versus Roxanne Perez with Liv in her corner. Again, seems like we saw this earlier in the night. Very similar thing, right? Good match, nothing, no disrespect. Lyra and Roxanne can both go. Roxanne gets the pop rocks for the win after a little shenanigan, with Bayley and Liv, and then Liv kicks Lyra in the head, in the face, into the pop rocks, and Roxanne Perez goes over with the win. Again, it's kind of redundant. This is the fourth time in 2 weeks we've seen something like this. That's all I'm saying. Can we do something different with the finishes? Do they have to come out with them every time? Does it always end in, goofiness? What say you about this?
Yeah, I think for me, I know that Roxanne and Lyra individually can go. Lyra especially, she's a great worker. The first 3 minutes of this match, maybe 2.5 minutes of this match, lost me immediately.
Yeah.
They were very, very sloppy to start.
They were.
It cleaned up a lot as the match went on, but it was so sloppy to start that it was almost distracting. Now, having said that, again, they've both done enough that they get the benefit of the doubt because we all know they can both work really, really well. But it just, and also, man, Liv casts a really big shadow for me,
Yeah.
and it seems like production even was doing a good job of making sure she was in frame as frequently as possible. Good for her, man. She's getting the absolute star treatment, and she deserves it. She's fantastic. But I think that alone was also the other thing, the rocky start, and then just this huge shadow that Liv has kind of took away from the match a little bit.
Well, and that's kind of the point, right? Liv is kind of inserting herself into Judgment Day's business to divide them so she can emerge as the star, right? Obviously, that's where we're going here. But yeah, I agree with you. Not a great match, but again, are we putting them in situations where, hey, they're rinse and repeating here? So, and Lyra, maybe to me, the Lyra Bayley thing, again, like we've talked about, is kind of what season of this are we in, right? It's like, where are we going with this? So we'll see. They were feuding, then they hated each other. Now they're friends. Now Bayley's schizophrenic. Now she's normal and cheering for Lyra. So obviously something's got to break here. Again, I love all these women, and I love that the women are being featured so much. We just can't be doing the same things over and over again. That's my thing. And we get another WrestleMania Vegas promo. Again, not using the number 43. I don't know if this is a new thing.
It's 42.
Is it 42?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's 42.
Why that was last year in Vegas because Fatu was wearing a 42 jersey.
It said, when I looked it up, it said 42. There it is. WrestleMania 42, location, Allegiant Stadium.
Right.
The date is April. So that Saturday and Sunday of 2026, April.
Crazy.
WrestleMania
Okay.
42.
Are you sure?
Unless
was
Google's tripping.
Fatu not wearing a 42 jersey last year for the
Maybe-
Raiders?
Maybe he just likes that number, Dad.
Maybe.
Would you rather him wear 42?
I mean, 42 was my number
67?
in high school.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on, because 40 was Reigns going over Rhodes. 41 was Rhodes going over Reigns.
Right.
Wouldn't 42 have been? When did Cena go over Rhodes for the
That
title?
was 42.
I think you might be wrong, Maestro.
Yeah.
Well,
they're both in Vegas. That's what the thing is. 42 is in Vegas. 43 is in Vegas.
right, but I looked up WrestleMania 2026 and it says 42.
Well, I know, but you also guys told me that we only had 24 million viewers for the Cowboys game.
He's gonna stay on that. He's gonna stay on that forever.
When it was a record.
I'm looking at the.
I will say I would almost bet my house it's 43.
What was
Nick? Can you search it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna verify.
Luke,
like
keep
we're
looking.
not using the same search engine. Google, it's gonna give us the same results.
Hey, look, but you can't take the first one. You can't go with a little
No,
AI
I'm looking
thing.
at the pictures too.
You gotta let's keep the human element
on.
here. While you guys are anyway, it kind of bothers me they're not using the numbers. You know, remember when the Super Bowl used to have individual logos for the Super Bowl, and now they went to that boring silver logo for a couple years of just the number and the trophy, and now they're back to at least different colors for the Super Bowl. So this is what this is reminding me of: WrestleMania Vegas instead of WrestleMania 43.
Yeah, I don't know why you continuously doubt the Maestro. He was obviously it's WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. Like I was saying, he's right.
Okay.
I'm literally him, bro.
Yeah, he is definitely him. You doubted him. I never doubted him, but
okay.
He always doubts me.
Hold on a second.
He always doubts me, but then he wants me to be the one that looks it up. This is crazy.
Hold on a second. 40, Rhodes lost. 41, he won. Cena beat him in 42. There's no way. That's 3 consecutive years. It wasn't 39. It was 40
39.
in Philadelphia. 40.
You know,
yeah.
When you get to a certain age, I think those numbers kind of run together.
Maybe that's why they're not using them anymore. But I'm pretty sure
what you just said is actually right. What you said didn't happen. 39, Reigns went over Rhodes. 40, Rhodes went over Reigns. 41, Cena went over Rhodes.
Okay, so 40 was in Philadelphia, though, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that where Rhodes won?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So, hey, look, I'm a year ahead, guys. I'm old. Okay.
But no, hold on. The thing is, he doubts me, and then we prove him wrong, and he still somehow thinks that we're just making it up. Like,
no, I said I'm old.
After
I'm a year ahead.
After we had to break it down for you multiple times.
Look, man, you haven't participated the whole show. Now you want to jump in and just dogpile me because I'm wrong about something?
No, because you asked me about what WrestleMania was. I told
doubted
you.
you.
And then
I'm
you
sorry.
doubted me.
Well,
so.
look, last time you gave me information that was wrong. It was the viewership from the Thanksgiving Day game, and
No,
so
that
I
was
had
not
a little
me.
doubt. I had a
was
little
not
doubt.
me. That was not me.
It was you and Nick together.
I just went on the record. I never doubted that it was 42.
You did doubt it. You did.
You
All
didn't
right,
doubt it as hard,
just
so it doesn't
rewind
count.
it a couple minutes, and you'll hear yourself going, "Yeah, it was 42." Was because Fat Two. I swear he had a 42 jersey.
No, he
on.
did. He definitely did. But I think Maestro's right. It's probably he just likes the number or something.
Well, that was
his
my
favorite.
number in high school. So
His
anyway.
favorite number.
All right, so we get Logan Paul versus LA Knight. What do you think of this match?
Well, first, I mean, I think Logan Paul is, other than Dom, probably my favorite wrestler going right now. So I got Dom my power rankings, and we probably have to do that at some point. But I got Dom 1, Logan Paul 2. I think Logan Paul, pound for pound, is the best athlete in WWE right now. The dude's phenomenal. Love the heat he gets. He's just to me, he's a fantastic sports entertainer that can absolutely go in the ring. And then I, of course, love LA Knight getting beat down. So this was all positive from my standpoint.
Well, Paul is awesome. He gets the cheap shot at the beginning before the match starts. Vision's there to distract. Obviously, they come out to distract LA Knight. Logan gets the upper hand. The crowd starts chanting OTC after Vision comes out. Will Roman Reigns come out? Vision gets on the apron, tries to interfere, and the ref tells him to get to the back. As Knight's beating up Logan on the outside, the Masked Man returns and shows up and stomps Knight into the announce table. Logan then hits the splash for the win. Vision attacks Knight with a spear and several tsunamis from the top rope, I think 2 or 3. Then Heyman grabs the mic and they weirdly go to a commercial here, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, something happened here. It was just kind of weird that they went to a commercial as Heyman's grabbing the mic. They come back from commercial. He starts dissing Kansas City, talking about Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri. Again, cheap heat, right? Paul Heyman is awesome, but he went the cheap heat route here. He hypes up Braun as the next champion, the next big thing, right? And then the crowd's chanting CM Punk as Braun gets to the mic, right? Now, we haven't talked, I don't think, much about Braun Breaker's promo the previous week, but a lot of people think it was all the rage, right? As he does callbacks to when CM Punk, would try to give him some encouragement. It was in the form of a diss in the back, and in the promo from last week wouldn't even have rated in the Attitude Era, right? Or up against the great promos of Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. But Braun's getting really a lot of hype for that promo last week. Before we get into this promo, what did you think of Braun's promo last week?
I think what you said is exactly right. It's exactly what I thought. I said for the modern program, it's a tier. If S tier is the top tier, it's an A tier promo in the modern WWE. It would have been like a C or B tier. I heard the Insane Clown Posse and the Oddities and Road Dogg. I mean, all the mid card guys back in the Attitude Era were cutting that promo on a weekly basis. I won't be the old guy talking about going to school uphill both directions in the snow, but it's what it felt like. So I think for what it is, it was a fantastic promo, especially given that we haven't heard him speak a ton on the main roster. I think in hindsight, though, if you take it all things considered, in the pantheon of promos, it's a C or B tier promo.
Yeah, I think you said it. The bar set low for Braun. People didn't think he was. I mean, first of all, it's Scott and Rick Steiner's relative, right? So they weren't great at promos, i.e., Steiner math and some other things. Steiner had a good look, Scott did, but on the stick he was okay. But yeah, this was overhyped, I think, and you can tell Heyman's been working with him, and that's great. And I thought, oh, here he goes. Heyman's giving him the mic again to try to build off last week's momentum. And then he starts, Braun gets the mic, says he's not buying this new CM Punk nice guy, Mr. Nice Guy, right? Calls him a fraud, says the line that people reacted to, which was not a good line, was, you talk about being straight edge, never took a drink, and he said whoopity doo. He did say that.
Yeah.
And then he said, but you look like the biggest crackhead ever, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Vision responded like that was, awesome. And I'm just sitting here shaking my head going, come on, really? Yeah. We're doing crackhead jokes? Yeah. But he doesn't want the nice guy Punk. He wants the old Punk, the best in the world. And he gets down on his knees and begs for Punk to bring the old one. Says he's going to take his title and maybe his wife too. Is that a little bit of the freak Scott Steiner coming out?
Oh, for sure.
The big bad booty daddy coming out.
I'll let you hear me.
In Braun. What do you think about this promo compared to building off last week's momentum that people were overselling?
I actually like this one better, to be totally honest. And I think there was a little bit more intent behind it. The other one was, it just felt like, all right, let's see what the kid can do. This one felt a little bit more intentional. I think the old formula of Paul Heyman is a huge merchandise guy. I would be shocked if this wasn't a Heyman idea, but the spear 1, 2, 3, that's going to be on a shirt next week. I promise. So a little more intentionality. I liked that there was, again, we're progressing the story here. I like he's asking for the old CM Punk. There is no doubt in my mind that Braun's going to go over. Just to the Masked Man thing, just because you mentioned it, and this looked more like Austin Theory than the first time we saw him tonight.
Or Montez Ford.
Or Montez Ford, yep.
Yeah, it could have been him. The guy at the end looked a little smaller and skinnier than the guy who came out at the beginning. Could be us, our minds playing tricks on us. I don't know if we'll ever get the full story, but I think it's been multiple different people.
Well, what if it is multiple different people? What if when you finally get the reveal, you get a reveal at the start of the show or the first part of the main event segment, and then you get another masked guy? Like, I think it could be 2. I don't know. I don't think it's 3, but I think it's very likely that you end up with Randy Orton and Theory potentially
joining Vision. Why are they helping Vision the whole time? Attacking Mysterio, now attacking LA Knight. It's all related to the Vision. It wasn't just CM Punk now. So now that's the thing. It was official. Originally it's just CM Punk that they were attacking. So we thought, oh, this may have somebody with an axe to grind with CM Punk.
Yeah.
But now they're attacking Ray. They're attacking LA Knight. So
maybe it's to throw people off the scent. They'll attack Rey Mysterio, but their real target is someone else.
But do you think it's more than one person joining the Vision? I mean, how many people are we gonna have in the Vision?
I think it's gonna be more than one, and I think we may get someone gets thrown out. Maybe Logan Paul would be, I guess, the obvious one. I think they're gonna ultimately end up with 4. So if I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I do think it's multiple people. I think you're gonna get two reveals. Whenever the reveal happens, I think you get 2. I think it's Orton and Theory.
So you don't think they'll drag it out and just let it be Rollins?
I don't want to say no to that because I think that makes some sense too. But the only problem with that is how could you possibly spin that in a way that makes
sense, right?
For him to just get thrown out? Kayfabe says that he's out because of what they did to him, not he was injured and we got to get him time off. So,
and what was it, his left shoulder or right shoulder?
I think it was his left shoulder, but I don't remember for certain, but I'm pretty sure it was his left.
Because that right shoulder's flying high in the air, whoever's doing this stomp. I mean, when they doing the stomp, that right shoulder's flying. That right arm is way up in the air. Right. So, look, I think that they've not boxed themselves in a corner here, which is good. They can go any way with this that they want. But I think what's clear here with Braun, and there's some more shenanigans before we go back to Braun, is they show LA Knight on the screen saying, "No, I'm not done," and then Logan Paul and Bronson Reed run off to tend to LA Knight, and they leave Braun Breaker and Heyman in the ring. So now we're going, okay, what's going to happen? Is somebody going to come attack Braun Breaker or come out and fight Braun Breaker or confront him while they're in the back? Well, no, they just beat down LA Knight some more and did an insane tsunami onto the top of a roof of an SUV. And then they get the docs and medics. So that's how that went down. But one thing that told me was they're clearly, if there's any doubt before, pushing Braun to the top of this group, and Logan and Bronson are the tag team, or the second,
the
henchmen guys, the muscle, right? And I just don't get Logan Paul's reasoning with the way he came in, so cocky, and I'm a maverick, and I'm gonna do things my way, to just now become this kind of stupid muscle guy. You know what I mean? It's like he's not.
It's like the Power Rangers bad guys.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Logan's not stupid. He hasn't been stupid this whole time. And then all of a sudden, he's second fiddle to these guys, and he's losing a little bit of his smarts. And I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I don't like it for Logan Paul, but I do like him with Heyman. I just don't know if it's in this setting.
Yeah, I think the last thing we can do is question Logan Paul's intelligence, because clearly
Right.
this is all a setup, and Logan's going to come out of this thing looking like $1 million. That's just, to me, obvious, because he's so good at what he does, um, and it's very unlikely that he'll stay in that role for long. Now, how you get him out of it quickly probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's very hard for me to believe that he would agree to go to more of a full-time role, certainly
Yep.
way beyond the part-time role that he was doing,
Right.
and it not lead to, long-term storytelling, whether it's good or bad. They seem to have an idea on where they want to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road. I would imagine that the pot of gold at the end of this rainbow for Logan Paul is something either against a member of the division, or at the very least a singles title within the division. So we'll see. I don't disagree with you, but I think there's got to be something coming, because there's no way he would agree to come back to start going full time only to be a lackey. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, and I think maybe we'll get a Braun Breaker versus Logan Paul feud in the future. Maybe so. And I really don't like the name Braun Breaker. I wish they would call him Steiner. That would, give us, old guys some nostalgia. And so, this was the funniest thing about the tsunami on the SUV is the car alarm going off.
It's like
after,
the worst
after
car
he
alarm
hits it. I thought that was a
Yes.
nice touch. I don't know if that was intentional or if it was actually what happened, but
Yeah.
it was very funny. And as you said, Braun kept repeating spear 1, 2, 3. And so
And then he ripped his shirt off. Nick, to end the podcast episode, you have to rip your shirt off,
Yeah.
and we'll make a clip out of it.
I don't even think I can do it with this shirt.
1, 2, 3.
yeah, let's not get censored by the let's not be kicked off. But so that's the go home episode to Saturday night's main event. And I mentioned earlier just a few minutes ago about nostalgia, and obviously that's what keeps me coming back to wrestling. I'm wearing a fabulous Freebird shirt because I grew up during the Von Erich time, and those memories are nostalgia for me. John Cena is nostalgia for another generation, right? And so this coming to an end, whether you love him or hate him, right, like you do, Nick, the respect has to be there with what he's done for the business, and this is a guy who struck out his first time, and it was awful, right? And then we know his story. He rises above the ranks, and everybody's singing his praises right now except one guy named David Otunga. Have you heard what he said about how Cena really just cussed him out because he messed something up or didn't do something right, and then all of a sudden Otunga felt like leaving the company or quitting. I don't know if that says more about Otunga than it does about Cena, but to me, it's like people grew up with John Cena. He was their Hulk Hogan. He was their Kerry Von Erich. He was their fabulous Freebirds, Ric Flair, whoever it is, right, that you're emotionally attached to. For you, it's Stone Cold, right? But when you're old like me, you have enough to go, okay, this generation I was attached to this guy, then I got attached to this guy. And so Cena for me, my oldest daughter really liked John Cena. Luke was more of Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy and those guys, high flyers. But to me, I think they're really doing this well. Sending Cena off. Besides the botched heel turn, which was a disaster, that should have been done years ago. But I really feel like that nostalgia is what keeps people coming back, and I think that if they do this right, it'll be remembered forever. But if they don't, it will also be remembered forever. So, what do you think about Cena's final match? Put all aside your hate for John Cena and just talk about the build-up, the way it's been played out with this tournament, and the way he's been showing up. Let's kind of wrap it up with your thoughts on the Cena's final match.
Yeah, I think putting aside, the gimmicky, all the things that you can hate Cena for, which I think, I'm very interested to watch the interview, because I think he'll touch on some of it. Just from the preview,
yeah.
he kind of already was with the you can't wrestle stuff and all that. I think exactly what you just said is 100% right. I know I've got family, I've got young nieces and nephews, and there's young kids in my family that I kind of talk to all the time, and it's crazy that he's been around for so long that it's multiple generations of young kids that look up to him and have that feeling of hearing the trumpets and kind of that pop that they get. I think it has been done well. I think the heel turn and that little, you know, moment in time will be just as soon forgotten. I think that because there was so much positivity around, the last few years of his career, um, that he'll get some grace. I'm glad it's Gunther. I know Cena would be happy to pass it on to someone deserving. Um, and I think for all the glitz and glamour that something like Saturday Night should probably command, I think you're just going to get a straight up one-on-one old school pro wrestling match. And I couldn't be happier about that. I really hope they keep the shenanigans out of it and
The
they just
what?
let the shenanigans.
The la 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 la.
Yeah, yeah. That thing. And I hope they just let him go. I hope it's a clean, however Gunther wins, I hope he taps him out, but I hope it's clean. Um, and I think John Cena, clearly deserves it. He had the company on his back for a very, very long time.
I'm choking over here. I'm choked up with all this John Cena farewell talk. Yeah, I think the only disappointment might be we did not see a return of the Doctor of Thugonomics. Maybe we'll get that at Saturday night's main event.
You never know.
I think they should make Gunter rap battle John Cena and
Like
see it.
Kurt Angle's
Yes.
rap battle. Yeah,
Yes.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt Angle's one of my favorites, by the way. But yeah, I think it will be a straight match, and there'll be all kinds of Cena love on the show, I'm sure. Will we see Edge on the show, you think?
I hope so, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be weird. Where would you have him come if it's just? What about Jericho? Will Jericho show up?
That one
Are
I
they
could
saving
see
him for the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, that one I could see a little bit more. Like, I think for me, if you're gonna do this, just given what it is, I think it would be really awesome to line a section of that front row. They did it at PLE not too long ago where they had like the Dudleys and Jeff and Hardy come out for
Yeah.
the TLC match.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
something like that would be really cool. Everyone put aside um the extremist of AEW and WWE and all this junk and just let Edge and Jericho, and if you want to come pay respect to the greatest of all time, let them come out and do that. Just let them sit in the second row or something like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I hope it's something more than just the match.
Right.
Hopefully there's some other things that happen, some epic surprises. I think, Triple H needs something. He needs to pull a rabbit out of a hat here because to me, the creative has been a little bit lackluster, and we need something to spark us on the road to WrestleMania. There will be some surprises in the Royal Rumble, we hope. But I just feel like we need a spark, and who better to provide a spark on his way out than John Cena, right? And it'll be fun. It'll be sad. It'll be emotional for some, nostalgic for others, and for others, good riddance, I guess, to John Cena. But I think he's earned a lot of respect, and I'm really excited that they've given him this farewell. Have they set the bar now for other farewell tours? Is everyone going to get this kind of treatment in wrestling now? This is kind of unusual that Cena comes out and says, "This is my last year," and he gets the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar treatment, where every team gives him a gift as he leaves, right?
No, I don't think you will, and I think I say that because if you look at some of the other, which none of them were ever farewells, so you think that's less than enough. But like my favorite farewell that's ever been done is a Ric Flair farewell on Monday Night Raw, where they had the Horsemen come out and his family.
Oh, that was awesome.
Just one by one, and then they even had Taker, come out separately in the way that that was perfectly done. But we've never seen that before, and we haven't seen it since. So I think the way that he did kind of this year-long farewell tour, I would say you probably don't get this again. I think this is unique to John, and it should be. I think it's something that he'll have, by himself and be able to carry that with him.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for our WWE show. This is our first official regular WWE show. I say regular, meaning it's not attached to a premium live event or special that we're doing. I'm excited to talk wrestling. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this. This is basically a review show for SmackDown and Raw leading into Cena's final match. We'll talk about that next week. And we hope to have a weekly show and hope to interact with you guys and just really kind of be a part of the wrestling community. But keep it classy, guys. Let's not get crazy, right? No, we're not going to cover AEW. Not that we hate them or disrespect them. We may mention some stuff. We like TNA, we like NXT, but we're concentrating on WWE. So appreciate you tuning in and listening. Glad to have Luke, the maestro, and Nick with us on this show. Until next time, thank you for being a part of this one. Peace out.